Hello viewers, and thank you for joining us today on SaharaTV. I am Fatima Sesay. So for Women's International Month, I've chosen to interview Cameroonian fashion designer Kibonen Nfi, a certified image consultant who's also a current student at the Art Institute of New York. She's interned at the Donna Karen, New York, and just last September, she was the only African among 13 students chosen to showcase her collection at the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week at Lincoln Center. Her line consists of clothing, accessories, and footwear. Joining us today is the wonderful and talented Miss Kibonen.
Thank you so much, Fatima, for having me over. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming in. So I know the weather is really bad outside. Thank you for trooping in here on
You're
time.
welcome. You're welcome.
So tell me, how did your fashion line begin? How did your inspiration start?
I actually started fashion in 2009. After I got laid off, I used to work with Procter & Gamble. I got laid off, and I just wanted to figure out different ways of keeping myself relevant and doing something that would not permit me be laid off in the future. And that's how I got into fashion. And it was just all about trying to figure out different ways I could make my traditional regalia in Cameroon more modern. And when I got that made, I was very impressed with the way people reacted to it. And I thought, if people are so excited about it, then it could be even better if I turn it into a business. And that was how I started fashion initially.
Oh, wow. Impressive.
Very random.
So you are currently in school.
Yes.
So tell me about that. And
I started fashion, and I did so much, from reading books, YouTubing, Googling stuff. And it was very interesting because the moment I started fashion, somewhere in me, I felt like this is where I was supposed to have been all this while.
Wow.
And it just went very natural. You know, I kept just doing things and moving forward and, you know, exploring situations. And I realized that fashion was something that was very deep in me, and I had to figure out a way of making it more official and more, you know, more formal. So I started a brand, and I got a lot of exposure from it. I've showcased at Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week in South Africa for 3 years in a row.
Wow.
And showing at Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week New York, to me, was like the icing on the cake. And to me, it just goes to show, like, when you want something and you really want to be able to develop it, it doesn't matter. You would be able to go for it and do it, and that's just what I'm doing. So going back to school was really a way for me to create a more sustainable plan for my brand and figure out how to be able to develop in a way that that's all I'll be happy doing for the rest of my life.
Okay. So we love that you're passionate about, you know, fashion. How are you using your brand to empower women, especially in Africa, not only out here in the diaspora?
Yeah, you know, I'm really one of those designers. I really consider myself a socially responsible designer.
Okay.
I really am one of the people whom fashion to me makes no sense if it's not ethical. So the moment I started my brand, I immediately started working with the women in my hometown in Bamenda in Cameroon, and especially because the garment that inspired my designs is the garment worn by the royalty in my country, in my hometown. And this garment has very intricate embroidery done by the hand, and it's very colorful, and it has symbols that all have traditional meanings. So, and it's done by the women of my hometown. So if you see a woman who has a little thing by the street and she's selling peanuts or whatever, she's at the back doing that embroidery.
Amazing.
So for me, it was just so spot on. And every time I work, I contract between 8 to 50 women who do the embroidery for me. So my garments are really principally about that embroidery before I incorporated other things to be able to make it, you know, to make the line more interesting. So that embroidery which I do on my garments, it's very important, and I use just the women in my hometown to do that. So it's really, it's vital.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
Kudos to you.
Thank you.
So tell me about working with Donna Karen. Like, that's huge in the fashion industry.
That is the kind of thing, yeah. You're like, wow, is this really happening? Yes, it's happening.
I see you're excited talking about it.
Yes, it's just those things which you say the energy you put out there is really what comes back to you. So I remember a while ago I had met Donna Karen like 2 years before I started school.
Okay.
I met her at her Urban Zen shop in downtown, and I was very drawn to Urban Zen because of its mission. It's very ethical. It employs lots of people in Haiti. Okay. So I was drawn to that, and I went there on a visit with a couple of other students, and she happened to be there the day I went there. So I was just like so carried away with what she does. And I was in school, and at the Art Institute we have an internship fair day. Okay. So you have different employers come in to recruit students for internships. So I go in there and I see Donna Karen sitting right there. I was like, that is for me. And I sit there waiting for the space to clear up for me to walk in and just nail my interview. Wow. So I go there and I meet the HR director. We talk a lot, and she was very impressed. She referred me to the head of celebrity designs at Donna Karen for the next step of the interview. Okay. So I went there and I showed my portfolio, and I think because my work is very ethnic inspired, but like so many different aspects of the African culture, the masquerades, the embroideries, all of those things, I incorporated them in my portfolio, and the head designer there was very impressed. She really loved it, and because we were working with celebrity designs for special events, she thought there was a lot I could bring on the table to be able to make it more nice. Interesting and authentic. So I did my internship there. We did lots of celebrity dresses for the Emmys, the VMAs, and it was an amazing experience. Like, you see how the garment comes from what the celebrity desires to its final stage to her putting it on the red carpet, and it was just very heartwarming. And my boss at Donna Karen was very amazing. I learned so much from her. Yeah.
Speaking of learning, it is International Women's Month.
Yes.
So please tell me, what do you think is the significance of this month?
I mean, like yesterday, honestly, a friend of mine and I were talking about feminist, because we have a friend who is a feminist, and she would not hesitate to tell you that she's a feminist. However you want to listen to it, she's telling you she's a feminist. Okay. So I was talking to her, I said, I think we women really put burdens on us. And I told her, my idea of feminism, honestly, is ignoring the men. Doing what I have to do.
The men?
Yes. Doing what I have to do, making sure I do it so right that there is no competition. And there is something about women women equality. I'm like, we're giving these men so much credit. We are not even... There is no platform for us to compete with them. That is what I think. Because we are so strong. Women are so strong. We are. Women do so much. But the men just happen to be in a position where, honestly, I don't know where that came from. And they are taking the liberties and taking the rights and taking... But honestly, the strength women demonstrate in their daily lives, their daily activities, putting everything together. Men, honestly, to me, just walk in, and then they sit there, and they think, I mean, the woman would do the dishes, take care of the kids, plan stuff for the family, run it, go to work. It's just so much going on. And to me, we just deserve to be on top there. Like, we are not trying to compete with them. We are above them. So it is that strength, that I want. Like, I really want women to be able to carry in their everyday lives and know that, honestly, there is no competition. We are just doing what we have to do.
You heard her.
They're trying to suppress it, because of their male ego, but women are powerful.
Powerful.
Yes.
So the theme for this year's International Women's Month was to make it happen.
Right.
You know, encouraging women to step it up and lead in their communities. How are you making it happen?
Okay. Right now, I am I'm trying to graduate from school.
Okay.
But in everything I do, I'm really very strong on giving back to my community and especially empowering young women. So when I finish school, the first project I'm going to be doing back home is mentoring young girls.
Nice.
So I'm starting a nonprofit organization which is really basically going to be mentoring young girls because I understand the challenges young girls, especially back in Africa, go through. I know exactly what I went through as a young girl growing up. You know, I went to university back home and I know the challenges and I know how much I fought to be able to overcome these challenges. And I realize every day that it's not even by my strength, it's you have to be able to evoke a kind of spiritual strength in it, and not everybody can go through that.
Wow.
So if you went through it like I did, I feel like I have to be able to, you know, give it back to these girls and make them go beyond their potential. And I'm equally working with the organizers of Miss Cameroon in Cameroon. And for me too, it's still all about empowering the young lady, instilling confidence, pushing them to go over and beyond what they've ever thought. And it's just something that can sit there in you. If you cannot realize it, someone else can bring that out for you. And that's really my goal with the young ladies.
Wow. That's a lot, and I just want to commend you. Wow, that's impressive.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but Boko Haram has not only killed Nigerians, they've also killed
been in Cameroon.
Exactly. So how do you feel about the partnership with Cameroon and Nigeria in fighting Boko Haram?
You know how before when something happens you feel like, oh, it's so far away from you, but recently through the crisis at the border, a young Cameroonian army was killed, and this is a young guy who was very connected to our generation.
Wow.
You know, we had lots of friends together, and his sister was a schoolmate of mine, so it was like, wow, it finally hit home. You know,
it's close.
Yeah, and it was very, very heartbreaking. And I ask so many questions about this Boko Haram thing, and I cannot find an answer, and it bothers me because Boko Haram to me seems too organized to be just random. And it makes me ask so many questions like, okay, these people, what's going on? Why? How? And I remember when Nigeria was proclaimed the biggest economy in Africa, the next thing I heard about Nigeria was Boko Haram. And I was like, declaring Nigeria the biggest economy in Africa just caused Nigeria all these problems because everybody's now like, and honestly, the way the Boko Haram people are there and they keep staying there and I feel like
amazing.
It is something deeper that goes beyond my eyes. This is just my personal opinion. I'm not very much into politics, but it's just so many questions that I ask, and I feel like it's time for Africans to really take matters into their hands and do what has to be done to solve the problems that face them. And I was genuinely very disappointed in the way Nigeria handled this because it's like, okay, are we just chilling or what exactly are we doing? So the fact that Cameroon stepped in, and I'm like, Cameroon, we are like barely even known anywhere. Like nobody really cares about us. But the fact that they stepped in, and I kept reading lots of stuff on the news and everything about Cameroon military, really made me feel proud because Cameroon has never had any war. Besides like the coup d'etat that happened like a long time ago. And it's just like, if we're coming, okay, yeah, then we can actually do something. And I feel like, honestly, the African countries, especially West African countries, West and Central Africa, we really have to work because it's in Nigeria, Cameroon, and then Chad will be involved, and then all the other countries will be involved. And it's gonna hurt the economy because they're killing the people who are active. And before you know it, a huge demographic of the working force in these regions will be killed. And It has to really stop. And between Nigerians and Cameroonians, it's always like, okay, you're from Nigeria. No, right now we have to come together and fight for a common cause. So that's really what I can say. We have to fight even stronger to be able to eradicate this Boko Haram people. It's crazy. Getting ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it is. But speaking of coming together, the Nigerian elections are what, next week?
Oh my God! Finally.
So what? Yeah, finally. Let's hope. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, politics is one of my weakest points, but I believe like every election, let's really strive to be fair. And for the people, I'm not going to talk about the president of my country who's been on it for forever, but I think it's time we really try to maintain handing over, giving it to the next people, because right now the governments in Africa need the younger generation who are looking at things differently, who are up to be able to take on challenges, and who are not ready to tell whoever to go to, you know, wherever, you know, but we got this. Like, it's ours, we got this. Like, we really don't need you the way you think we do, but we got this. So I think it's time for, you know, the governments to be able to get, like, you know, shake it up, you know, getting the younger people. And because I feel like our generation is the generation that's going to change Africa.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I really am so convinced because we are the people taking risks, you know, thinking out of the box, pushing, imposing ourselves in whatever way. Like, I'm African. Okay, I want to wear my African wear. Deal with it, you know. So those are the things that before you were not, like, you look like a masquerade. Okay, I'm just going to go take it out. But now they're like, you look like,
we're proud.
It's fine.
It's the fashion industry.
Exactly.
Everybody want to wear African print now.
So I think we are really the generation that would change lots of things. And not only am I saying, okay, the government should move, but I'm telling the younger people also to take initiative and take action, and not just sit and wait for it to be good before we can do something about it, but push to go in there and start taking on roles that would position you or prepare you for leadership. So
great. So what is next for you?
Right now, honestly, being back in school was like the best thing I ever did, because I am really shaping up my ideas in what I want out of my line. And to me, it's just not about being a fashion designer, making clothes and relaxing, but it's really about figuring a way that even if it's going to be the one African name that's going to be mainstream, I'm ready to be the sacrificial lamb. So I'm really ready to take this and be the next, any name, the next Tory Burch, the next DVF, the next Donna Karen, you know, why not? I mean, honestly, I ask myself, why not? And because we come from a place where fashion, to be honest with you, I need to give you my dad's number for you to call him and ask him, like, what is Kibonen doing? He'll be like, honestly, I don't even know. Like, it makes no sense to him, you know. And that is what we really go through, like, the creative industry in Africa. Like, we don't get the support we need. You know, you have to be like a mainstream worker doing something very prestigious to your family. And it hurts the economy, because I am really one of those people who think that creativity, if Africans can develop their creativity, it's going to save us from poverty too. Of course. So, I want to be able to harness, you know, tap into whatever I can to be able to pull off this brand and make it mainstream. I'm looking at lots of collaborations, financial partners, investors, because you could be as creative as you want, but if you do not have the financing, the backing, it's a business at the end of the day, you need investment. So if you cannot get that financial backing to be able to move it forward, it's not going to work. So I'm talking a lot with a couple of other Cameroonians too, who think, you know, it's time for Africans to work together to be able to move things to the next level. So when I finish school, it'll really be about, you know, restructuring the company and, you know, getting a space, you know, and doing the work and getting it out there.
Making it happen.
Making it happen.
So I want to thank you so much for joining us.
So much,
before
Fatima.
we leave, please tell our viewers how they can get in touch with you.
You know, all of a sudden I decided to go like underground, but because I was like, school is way too hectic for me. But I'm very active on Instagram, KibonenNY, and on Facebook, KibonenNY. NY is for New York, and on Twitter, KibonenNY, and my website is KibonenNY.com. So.
KibonenNY. You heard her. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Stay tuned, viewers. There's more coming your way.
Damn.